Main topics we're going to be covering today are returns, credit card processing, and then some things about customer orders. And then at the end, I'll show you a quick way to find out customer information regarding orders that they have placed with Preston Feather sales staff. The email I sent last week, and I'll send a follow-up either today or tomorrow, includes this quick reference sheet that you can use. You can print it out, keep it near your desk. Just a couple hot topics related to what we're talking about today that are very important and will help answer any questions very quickly for you. So today we're going to be talking about, like I said, returns, credit cards, and customer orders. If you have any questions, please feel free to just chime in. If you don't feel like asking them over the phone, you can always call or send me an email later. Or if I'm at your location, just catch me, or Rachel. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just give an overview of the returns process. Returns are probably the most difficult thing that we do. They're also the messiest in terms of the entire industry. It's not just here. So we just want to give everybody a brief overview of exactly how the process works, and maybe it'll trigger some things the next time you're doing a return to help the whole procedure go a little bit more smoothly. So what we want to do is anything that's going to the yard, anything that you are not checking as it's getting returned to the customer, we want to start from a negative customer order. That includes a customer that brings product in to one of our Preston Feather locations, or if it's a pickup with one of our trucks. The reason is we can track, the customers can see pending credits on their ProLink, which is their digital account management website thing. And we can also track them via reports, so we know what we owe back to our customers, what credits we have to process by the end of the month, or what we're waiting on. Petoskey, as far as I am aware right now, is the only one that has changed the returns process, where they actually do basically an inbound load check for the customer. And that is the only time that we are not doing customer orders, because they are checking the product as it's coming back in and deciding before it goes back to the yard what's going to happen with it. In terms of doing pickups, if you do not know what exactly we're picking up, we still want you to start a negative customer order, but you can use the SKU pickup TBD and put a negative quantity on it, and it'll prompt you to enter information about what you know we're picking up. The reason is we want to have at least something in the system, again, to show pending credits for customers, and we also want to know at least approximately what we're picking up, so we can A, put the right vehicle on it, and 2, not pick up stuff from other vendors or things that are not supposed to be returned and bring them back to the store, which happens because then we have to re-deliver the product to the job site. So, like I said, we track that every Wednesday. You guys get an open order report. You also get a negative order report. The negative order report shows any credits that have not been processed to customers. So they're either waiting on credit, or we're waiting for some vendor information to decide if we're going to give credit. There's a couple different scenarios, but that report helps to track that. So in this example, I'm going to say that we're returning product to the vendor. So once we decide that we're going to do that, the support staff will go through and create a negative purchase order and give that to the vendor. We can also use this report in the yard to track what is going back to vendors and what we need to stage to be ready to pick up on any given day. On Mondays, I send out an open item return and a negative purchase order report to the support staff, and that is how they can track what has not been picked up, what still needs to be run for a vendor credit through the system. It just helps keep a handle on things. So once the vendor picks up the product, they're going to go in and they're going to close the purchase order. They're not going to do a negative receipt. They're just going to go into order entry and close it. The reason is, once we credit the customer, they'll go through and do an item return, which I will show you here in a second. So as soon as you close that purchase order, it will be removed from the negative purchase order report. Once we close the PO, then we can do the return to the customer. This gives them their credit for their dollar amounts, and this also brings that product back into our inventory. Once that credit is run, the support staff will then have to do the item return utility, which is where we tell Spruce what we're doing with that product. This involves, when you run the credit, there's a restock box. If you leave that unchecked, it puts it right into this return utility where you can then tell what we're doing with it. Again, on Mondays, I send out an open item return report, which helps track what's in this. There are stock items that get returned into there all the time that we have to maintain, and hopefully this report helps to be able to keep that open item return, or the item returns, somewhat clean. Once we tell Spruce what we're doing with that product in the item return utility, Carol, or whoever's doing payables, has to go in and match that return to the credit that the vendor is giving us. We run into issues sometimes where items sit in the open item return utility and don't get returned, and then Carol has to get those pushed through, so then she can match it up. Everything that Carol does has to match to a transaction, either a receipt or a credit from our vendors, or from our support staff, that she will match to a bill from our vendors. The whole reason that we're covering this is just because returns are a customer service thing that we do. Some companies have decided not to do returns. We still do. It's good for our customers. We can help them with their business, help them with their cash flows by doing this. But any holdup in the returns process leads to incorrect credits on their statements and inventory issues that we have to fix later. We asked Brent about the amount of calls that he received daily, and probably half of them are related to finding credits that have not been run through yet. So the quicker and more accurately we can run credits, the better. And then obviously we do cycle counts and things like that, so we need to make sure that credits are run in a timely manner to be able to maintain our inventory and not have massive write-offs. Key takeaways from returns: again, credits must be returned timely, or must be processed timely. Inventory accuracy and customer billing depend on this. Anything that's going to the yard that you are not load checking into the yard must start from an RGO form. Again, if you don't know what we're picking up, you can use the pickup TBD SKU. But once you generate that order, if you write the order number on top of the manual RGO form that we have at the counters, the yard staff can fill out the rest of it and tell us what we're doing with the product. Or then when the paperwork comes in, we can actually run the credits for the customer. Any quick and easy questions on returns? I know, like I said, they're pretty sloppy. There's a lot to it. Every situation is a little bit different. Again, if you don't have any questions or you don't want to ask them over the phone, you can send me an email or give me a call. So next we're going to talk about our credit cards. Credit cards are another area that are kind of sloppy, just based on how our credit card provider, the way that our credit card provider gives us the tools to run credit cards. Especially when it comes to returns, using credit cards can be a little bit tricky. The short of it is, if you are returning a product against an original invoice that had a credit card for the exact amount that we billed originally, you shouldn't have any problems as long as you're on a credit card terminal. When you get outside of that situation is when things get a little weird. Prime example would be kitchen and bath. We generally use package pricing to sell those products. So we'll have one line with price and no cost, and then we'll have 15 lines with cost on them. If we try to return one of those lines with no price but cost, Spruce is going to try to credit the customer for the amount that we originally sold it for, which is, in this case, $0, because we used a package price. When that happens, like I said, it's going to try to credit the customer at $0. If we would need to deviate from that and we're going to credit, say, $200 for this cabinet, we have to do a manual refund it through Cayenne. So what we would do you would remove the original invoice number from the transaction, which we can cover a little bit later. But you'll put in your SKU, your negative amount, then you'll process it, make your total, which would be here, match into the bank card box. So your refund should be 0 as long as these two match. You will then break the link between Cayenne and Spruce by clicking this green box. It's underneath Enable Authorization Entry. Clicking Enable Authorization Entry and then entering your user here. What this is doing is telling Spruce that we are going to manually refund the card through another means. We're not going to refund it through Spruce. So, once you process this part of it, there are registered Cayenne users at each location. And what I like to do is take the transaction that prints and take it to one of those users to process the manual refund. Manual refund users, you'll probably recognize this screen. This is the Cayenne website. You'll click manual refund. You have to enter the card number, expiration date, CCV number, and then as much information as you can put in here as possible. Definitely need the invoice number because the customer should get a copy of that and they want to reference it on their credit card statement. So again, what we did there, we broke the link in Spruce. We told it we were going to run a refund, but we're not going to run it through our credit card machines. And then we ran it manually through Cayenne. Cayenne users, what we want to do before we run these credits is check the history for the day to make sure that a credit did not already run for the dollar amount that we're going to be manually refunding. We've run into a couple situations where that actually did happen. We ended up having to quote-unquote rebill the customer for a dollar amount because we credited them twice on their card, but once through Spruce. If this is all handled in this manner, the drawer will balance at the end of the day, and our Cayenne amounts for the day will balance as well. Are there any questions about credit cards at this moment? Key takeaways from that would be breaking the link and then making sure the invoice number is entered into Cayenne and making sure we don't double credit. Okay, so now we're going to talk about just a couple of things from customer orders, and then once we do that, I will show you a quick and easy way. Some of you already know, but a quick and easy way to answer customer questions. So we've been running into some issues through payables with customer order numbers being given to vendors and not purchase order numbers. It creates issues when we go to do the receipt for the product. The person doing the receiving can't necessarily find the purchase order that you created because they have paperwork that says something else. So they have to go take time and go research, go find the right stuff, change some information on the receipt, and then when it comes time to pay the bill, if that's not caught, it takes even more time to catch and fix the issue when we go to try to pay the bill. Yes, that creates internal lag, but most importantly, it slows us down for customer service. We can't invoice something because we can't receive it. We can't receive it because we can't find it. It just creates a multitude of issues that we shouldn't have. So again, purchase order numbers to the vendors, not customer order numbers. The next big thing we want to talk about with customer orders is the to be delivered box. When you are processing a customer order, under the delivery tab, there is a to be delivered box on the left side, and I'll show you here in a second. What we need you to do, if you're setting up delivery, is click to be delivered and then enter the date that you want the product delivered on. The reason is, we will be piloting Spruce delivery dispatch system this summer. We're not going to roll it out until over the winter when we're slow enough to actually implement it. But we want to be able to start testing it. We have a marketing logistics intern here, Nick. And so we have some extra horsepower to be able to test this and get it running perfectly before we roll it out. The reason that we want to do that, we want to create visibility and reduce some workload for our dispatchers. The idea behind using this module is that you'll be able to see loads going out of each location what time restrictions we already have for the next day without having to call and, find somebody to go look at the delivery board and tell you what's on it. It will be really good when we roll it out. We just need to start practicing with it, and we have to use this to be delivered box within delivery tab to do so. And I'll just demonstrate here. So if I'm creating a customer order, I've got it all set. You can do the same thing. You can recall the order and update it if you've already created it in the past. But once I hit process, I need to go to delivery, and I need to click to be delivered and put a date in. Eventually we will have it refined enough where, nice. We'll have it refined enough where you will put a time code in as well. Right now, if you want to put first or second load or after 12 in, that'd be great. And then any instructions that you would normally put in as well. Again, that's process, delivery, to be delivered, pick the date. I promise you, once we start using the delivery dispatch module, it's going to save a lot of time, and it's going to be pretty sweet. Okay. Any questions about returns, credit cards, or customer orders at this time? Okay, so the last thing I want to show you guys, and we'll get you out of here a little bit early hopefully, is something that will help you answer questions for customers much faster than using documents. So it happens quite often, somebody comes in or calls and wants to know the status of an order that they placed with us. Again, some of you will go through and use documents and search through all the documents that are in there, which can be, there's quite a few in there. Documents never get deleted, so you'll be looking through potentially thousands. The quickest way to answer a question for a customer in that situation is to use inquiry and orders. By default, it leaves this open status only box checked, which is only going to show me orders that are open. It's only going to select for your branch, the one that you're in currently. If you want to change that, you can click on this, pick whatever branches, but then you have to use the select box. So here's where you do your selecting to pick, accounts, date ranges. You can pick user IDs if you want, or if you happen to know an item, you can pull that up as well. But what I can do is type in the account. If I want to look at a specific job, I can, but in this case, I'm just going to look at everything that's open for his account. Oh, look at that. This is in the test system as well, so there's a little bit of data's a little bit different. So once I put that in, the top part of the screen is going to show me a listing of all the open orders for Matthews. It'll show me the job number if I want to look at that as well. It'll show me the user ID for the order, which I believe is the entry user. In the right-hand column, anything that has a star in it has non-stock product in it. If I click on this one, the screen below changes to show me all of the items that are on those orders. And it also shows me what was ordered and what's been received. So if the customer comes in asking if their shelf is in yet, it's for the north job, and you pull it up. And yes, they ordered 2. There's 2 here, so we're all set to invoice. You can also check and see that there's no price on that, so that might be an issue. But it gives you the quick tools to be able to look at what if the product's here or not, if it's complete. If you also notice at the bottom, it tells you the purchase order number as well if you'd like to do more research. If by chance you find that your product is here and ready to go, but you don't know where it is in the yard, if you double click on the order number at the top, it'll pull it up and it'll tell you the staging for each item, just like normal. Okay. Again, that was under inquiry and orders. I would suggest adding that to your favorites. If you do not use favorites yet, it's simple as just clicking favorites, add to favorites. I already have mine in there, so it's going to duplicate it. To access favorites on the main panel of Spruce, you just click favorites, and then it goes in numerical order, so whatever number whatever order you put product in there, or excuse me, whatever order you put favorites in there, it's going to put them in numerical order. So the last one I put in was this one. Click it and it opens up. Okay, are there any questions about what we've covered today at the moment? Like I said, if you'd rather, you can send me an email or give me a call, catch me at a location if you'd rather ask a question. I will be sending out a follow-up either today or tomorrow regarding these sessions with some of the attachments and things that we talked about, some of the feedback we've gotten. If you have other feedback for us, we always want to hear, if you thought the trainings went well, or if there are other topics you'd like to hear about next time, something you need to hear about more in depth. We're just trying to make it easy for you guys to learn and retain a little bit more information. If there are no other questions, thanks for watching today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.